All right, what is going on, guys? Hope you all are doing amazing today. Today, we're going to break down the production and the mix for Wondering, as well as some of the recording as well for Wondering by Adelaide Jung and Christy. This was a song that I had the great honor and pleasure to produce and record and mix for Adelaide, my good friend. We go back to college, and I was approached to work on this song after graduating and while I was in New York. So I'm also going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that I've made in audio. And yeah, we'll get into all of that. But I want to start out with some stories, just kind of how the song all came together and like what we started with, what we were working with, as well as again that big mistake that I will never make again. And I hope you guys never have to make. So learn from my mistakes. So yeah, this is Wondering. We can see here the session, and I've updated a little bit to be more in line with how I do things now organizationally. It's still the original session and pretty different from how things look for me now. But still, yeah, it's an older session. This is, yeah, like I said, I think about over a year ago, if not exactly a year ago, how I was doing things. So yeah, I mean, this was a big deal for me. This was a big song for me to work on just because it kind of represents a new era of my like work and a new standard for my work as well. Just because like I've done plenty of production stuff in the past, but it being really in the lane of what I would hope to create and like the R&B elements of this, it just was like really aligned with like my personal taste in music. And yeah, I mean, also it was just like so cool to work with a friend from college, and like we had talked about wanting to work on music before, like while we were in college. So it was also just a realization of that. But yeah, it was just like this song definitely was like a pivotal point in my career, and like kind of is like the start of what I've been like the stuff that I've been outputting for this past year, or like the quality of stuff I've been putting out for this past year. Um, so yeah, really thankful to have had the opportunity to work on this song and produce it. And like even that's just a whole journey of even like accepting thinking about myself as a producer. Um that yeah, it's this whole thing. It's even ongoing to this day. Like there's always going to be a little bit of imposter syndrome, I feel, but still like this song, it really came together. I'm extremely thankful for that. So yeah, it started with them. So Adelaide and Christy wrote this song, and they had like a R&B kind of like they had some of the chords and like a general groove kind of figured out already, as well as they wrote the whole song. So I was able to like hear the demo and kind of like get a feel for like just kind of like imagining where this song could go before even like starting anything for it, which was really dope. And don't always get to do that, but I really did love that workflow. So yeah, once we were able to like figure out a time to record, because again, I was in New York, she was in Virginia, or like both of them were in Virginia. So it was like three schedules having to align. We finally got a time to record, and I came to Virginia. We recorded at Liberty University in the school music in one of those practice rooms with a piano in it, and like I had like a Warm Audio 414, and I think I was using my Volt interface to record at that time. And we got a guitar player as well, James Boyd, recorded guitar for this original demo, and we had a fantastic session. It was amazing, and Ali was coming up with these crazy harmonies on the spot, and it was really great. And I went back home and started to try and figure out some of the music and producing around what we already had, which is kind of a key thing for just the workflow of how this all came together. But this around this time is when I made the biggest mistake ever, and it's a technical one. So I'll be specific here. So because I've talked with other producers about this. This mistake can cost you thousands of dollars, it depending on the project. So this is a mistake you seriously want to avoid, and never ever make this. So I had the original Pro Tools session, right, with all the vocals and the guitar demo, just everything that we had already established up into that point. And I was about to move into FL Studio to start producing. So I'm changing DAWs here. This is like what I kind of always have to do because I produce in FL Studio and record and mix in Pro Tools. So I created the folder. I already had like the FLP, but I created a folder for that I was going to drop all the FLP and all that kind of stuff into, and I named it the exact same thing that I named the Pro Tools session folder. And at this time, I didn't have any standard file naming practice. I didn't have one way that I name all my files. It was kind of way more messy than it should have been. And I also was in more of a hurry than I should have been. And I named the folder the exact same thing. And when it does that, it popped up with a little prompt like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" It'll overwrite or replace it, whatever. I didn't read the thing because I was in a rush for no reason. I was like, whatever was the highlighted option, I just clicked on that without even reading what it was. And then it was too late because what I did was what I didn't just delete the files. That would have been easier to undo. I overwrote the files. So when you overwrite files, it doesn't just put them in your trash bin or your recycling bin, which you can easily recover. It doesn't even permanently delete them. That's something that you can use tools like Disk Drill to kind of go back and recover. But what this did was it overwrote the files, meaning the original, anything that was in the original file was completely overwritten with emptiness. So there's no way to go back, and I lost everything. Um, and it was depressing. It was depressing. I was really really down. Um, it was pretty devastating. I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm finally like I'm working on this amazing song that I'm really excited about, and then I lost everything, and then also it was just so hard to like figure out that recording session and how we were all going to be at the same place at the same time. Um, it was really devastating. The only thing that I had was the like a bounce that I sent to them the day of. Thank God that I had even that, because I was able to produce around that a little bit and kind of like do something with that. So I was devastated, and I used FL Studio's like stem separation to separate the demo vocals from the guitar track, and I was able to just do a little bit more with that than I would have otherwise. And I produced this. So this is what I had. This is what it sounded like.
Pick up my phone all alone, so I send her a text. Anxiousness in my chest, always wondering what's next. She probably don't like me back, so what's the point of the stress? What if she leave me on red? Don't think I'm cut out for this. She hit me back, she don't know me too well. She says
So yeah, you can hear the guitar. That's how this song started. And it's really, really, really killer. But yeah, I kind of like tried to get the ball rolling a little bit with the drums and some like Rhodes chords. At the time, I had my hands on a Nord Electro keyboard, so that's why I'm actually in the Pro Tools session to begin with instead of the FLPs, just because it would pretty much be the same. I pretty much played the music parts in, so yeah, it's really no different. But I wanted to have something to show, uh, when telling them what happened, and I was like fully anticipating the project to be done, and to like, yeah, to have lost the project, and because I lost the project, physically. So yeah, I was like really trying to just, like, is there anything I can do to help make this right? And Ali was just the most gracious with the situation, and I am so thankful for that. Um, but yeah, she was like just so understanding and still really wanted to make it happen. And man, I just was like, for considering how devastated I was by the mistake I made, like I couldn't have been more encouraged by how she responded to what happened. So thankful for that. This song wouldn't be there, wouldn't be here without that. But yeah, once it was like, all right, let's do this, I kind of continued to move forward with production and do as much as I could to produce around that. And I separated the vocals, so we kind of knew that uh the acoustic wasn't going to be like the part of the identity, because it was really wanted to be more of like uh marriage between 80s retro sounds and modern R&B kind of stuff. um like Luther was a song that was like kind of inspiration. So and that might be pretty surprising given how the song sounds, but like there it's still, we wanted to incorporate those more modern neo soul R&B elements. Um so yeah, I think in between the first session and our second, because we did end up retracking everything. We had to retrack the vocals, which actually I feel like benefited the song. I think we did get a better performance the second time. Um, Still super devastating, but like there was some good that came out of it. I was able to record electric guitar, record bass, because I was still in New York, in between. So I got to like work with my friend Drew, who did the electric and the bass for this, and I built out all the music. So when we went into Mathena Studio, which we got to record the second time, and it was just such a pleasure to be back in Mathena as well. Um, yeah, we pretty much finished the production, and it was like, all right, we just had to finish with vocals. So yeah, once I kind of did that, we recorded in Mathena, and I went back to New York after that, and it was a beautiful day in Central Park, and I did like this little explanation on the vocal chain for Wondering. So I'll play that real quick. We can check out what the vocal chain is for Wondering. The session went really great. The vocal chain for that session was the U87 into the Gordon preamp. The reason I chose that was it's super clean, really low noise floor. So I just wanted to capture a very just clean vocal. I wasn't really going for like a ton of character out of the preamp. So after the preamp, I went into the TubeTech CO1B, and I had like, I don't know, I think it was on fixed manual mode. Really low ratio. I wasn't compressing the vocals that much, but man, I don't know. I love the TubeTech CO1B. That's like, I feel like it's just the classic vocal chain of a 1073 and a TubeTech CO1B. Did some EQ boosting around like 2 dB at 10K on a API 50 or a 550 EQ. And then I went through the SSL console using the SSL channel strip. And I think I was actually attenuating probably around like 15K, just a little bit, and boosting around like 600. So all these little things, it was very minor. I didn't do any like really crazy moves with any of the gear that I was using, but hopefully I'll work in a way that you can hear what it sounded like in the video, but it sounded great. So yeah, that was a beautiful day, by the way, truly amazing. But yeah, that's the vocal chain. Again, it was a really great session. Super fun. Yeah, just great time overall. And have some like clips and stuff on my Instagram from the session. But yeah, so let's get into the production and some of the mix. I'll probably start with production and then go back and check out the mix. But something you may notice here is the vocal processing is pretty minimal, because like I got to be really intentional with like the vocal chain and just making the vocals sound as good as I could get them to sound on the way in. I mean, literally, like they were recorded through a SSL console, and you saw like the vocal chain. It's like a multi-$1,000 vocal chain. So yeah, they sound pretty good on the way in. It's just really like stuff to help it fit in the context of everything else that I'm doing to process them, but we'll get to that. So the drums here are this is something I kind of established early on. This was one of the first things like that I kind of felt out. Like we had that kind of faster, really pretty rhythmic acoustic guitar loop. So the drums and like the sound choices for the drums, I think, came really instinctually. Another like inspiration for me was Funk Wave Bounces by Calvin Harris. Like that album has, I think, just some of the coolest character and texture and sound selection ever. So that's kind of stuff that I try, and like even just the vibes overall, having like really summery vibes is something that I love, and kind of was going for a little bit here too. So this is the drums in the final chorus, bongos, the woodblock, but yeah, for most of it, it's this. And the drums on their own, it's really surprising, because when you listen to these on their own, I'm surprised looking back at like the sound selection, because some of these sounds are like a little whack in my opinion, to be honest. But as a whole, like I've never heard it back and questioned the drum sounds. But here's the first kick sound, and that's not being processed at all, other than parallel compression. And then this is the other. Super weird kick sound. Like there's all that weird high-end buzz. It sounds really digital. It almost sounds like there's something wrong with the playback. There's not. I checked. But yeah, I don't hear that in the full context. Like nowadays I would just choose a better sound to start with. Let's see. Yeah, I'm doing like a really, really tiny EQ thing there. And then the snares here. There's like a really busy groove. And then we have this live hi-hat groove here. And then the toms. So yeah, pretty busy drums, to be honest, especially when you add the bongo and the wood block. But yeah, these were all just programmed in FL Studio with like choosing samples individually. And yeah, just putting them into the channel rack to create a pattern. We have like a riser and a fill here, but it's pretty simple. Bass, yeah, was recorded with my friend Drew. We got to record in person, and kind of he did it for the most part. I think. No, yeah, that's all him. There was another song we recorded that day that had like a specific groove in mind, but it's a pretty simple groove, you know, for the bass. The melodics here were, yeah, largely just played on like the Nord. What's interesting about this song is definitely throughout stuff that I produce, there's a lot of consistency. And here, let me make myself smaller so you can see better. But if you take a look at just this project, you see like this curve here of all this stuff that happens one time and not again. Like we have a couple elements that go on throughout the song, but all this other stuff happens once and just like for one section and never again. That's really different from how I typically produce. And I think the reason that it ended up like this is because we already did have that song. We already had the song. And so it was about adding things, or even in the mix, we did some stuff to try and embellish and accentuate what they were singing about. Like for example, this is a mix thing, but like when he says anxiousness running through my chest,
running through my head, and I got anxiousness running through my chest. You got me wondering.
It's like that low pass filter comes in and it sounds more like a heartbeat, and you can hear the vocals very clearly. Like when you're anxious, those thoughts are loud. Just like stuff like that really makes a song feel really dynamic, because it already existed. So it wasn't so much of like producing a song, you know, the track first and then them writing to it. That would have been a totally different production. But yeah, this is what I guess we end up with when there's like a moment and I'm like, oh, I want to make that something more. I want to add to that feeling that is here and see what kind of tension I could create. That's how we end up with a lot of these elements. So let's see, we have the Rhodes is like the main thing here. I think this is a digital, the Electra 88 VST, and this would be a physical. This is the Nord, and it also has this weird stuff here. I don't know why I didn't do that. Maybe I did. I'm not actually 100. This is probably the final session that I did for the mix, but I'm not even sure. But yeah, that's seems like a pretty simple move that I would do. I just didn't. It's not perfect. It's everything being played in makes things feel really human. Yeah, there's not a lot of quantization going on here. There's this element that didn't make the cut here at the start. I think this was before we had the lead. So yeah, we opted for electric guitar as the intro thing. And then we have piano. That's definitely the Nord. Yeah, because I know, I do remember, like, that was something that, how, like, I had versions, like, we went back and forth, and then, we'd just be bouncing ideas, and that was something that Christy wanted, was getting, like, his verse to be kind of distinct, and having it be primarily just piano. I'm
trying to understand. Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gonna hit the fan. Text we sent, the meals we had, and all the.
So yeah, you can see that's why this is here and nowhere else. Like that's what he wanted. So yeah, I think that's probably part of it too. Was just like their vision for creating unique moments, as well, really shaped what it ended up being. We have chord that comes in once.
Like, to pray about it, Lord, I really need your wisdom. Why she leave?
That was definitely something that I just like couldn't get out of my head, and just this one-off thing. Really, really faint DX7 from the Nord as well.
Where do I go when I don't even know?
Not super obvious, but it is a really staple sound of the 80s that kind of, it just like adds to that texture a little bit. This was something I know for sure was one of the first things that came to mind, because that's kind of like this yacht rock feeling with the rhythm of this. Yeah, I know that this is like what I started with, and it was honestly like a hard thing for me to figure out what the rhythm of the keys would be, apart from that. And then we have a pad here that does not come in any of the other hooks. Yeah, we got this really, like, it stands out a lot, this piano lead. Yeah, something to create create a moment, create like a definite, like a definite moment. More roads, different sound here. Juno. Side chains little thing. Yeah, I guess these are just. Oh yeah, that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. I'm real happy with that.
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go in?
I do know this is Opal, the synth. And I really like that wobble type of sound, because it reminds me of like Control by SZA a little bit, some of the sounds from there. And that's definitely like in the same lane, that we were going for. This is real, like, kind of yacht rock inspiration here to like pull from that idea, but just accentuate it even more in this final chorus. The chords are different as well. It feels way more dramatic. It's Juno Ree. And then, of course, man, rest in peace, Roy Ayers, man. The Roy Ayers, just one note string. Well, I guess it's not one note, but.
I guess what you say. Where do I go when I don't need?
And this song would not be what it is without these EGs, man. Drew killed this. Adds so much production value, man. These diamonds as well are pretty like leaned on part of the melodic sound.
I think I need to pray about it. Lord, I really need your wisdom.
I can't think, I don't know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't.
And this also is like, I did want to get like that Calvin Harris electric, like I guess Strat type of sound. I didn't get it all the way there, but this is pretty close. Yeah, so that's really like subtle, but it adds a feeling for sure.
I guess what you say. Where do I, and I don't even know if this'll be okay.
And he does a little solo at the end here. It sounds really like the sound of the guitar is really like Western sounding to me.
Maybe it's time to move on. I thought that things would be different. Maybe there's things on my chest that need some weight being lifted. Maybe it's not in his plan. I need to see first the kingdom. I know it's all in his hands. I'm leaning into your wisdom. I'm feeling tired. My ego.
So yeah, that's kind of all of what makes up the music for Wondering, and yeah, a lot of it's from the Nord. So when it comes to vocals, man, just the dopest. Like, these sound insane on their own. Oh, come on. I need to select them all.
Wondering why you making me feel this way. I don't wanna hurt again. I don't wanna guess what you'll say.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane on the vocals here. So you saw the vocal chain. We can hear the lead, I guess, without any processing here, the second verse.
I can't think, I don't know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say.
So
Maybe
that's
like
like a really small difference.
I can't think, I don't know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe this time I'll try, I'm gonna try to be patient. See a sex when I answer, I keep leaving them waiting.
Honestly, I probably could have gotten most of what I did here by turning up the fader and just turning up the volume. This is pre-mixer brain. This is yeah, like, what am I doing here? Attenuating even more high end. No other EQ, boosting a little low end.
I can't think, I don't know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe this.
That's almost certainly just for volume, or like to catch a little tiny thing every now and then.
I can't think, I
That's
don't
for volume. This is definitely volume here.
I can't think, I don't know.
The ESR I'd still do.
I can't think, I don't know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe this time I'll try, I'm gonna try.
And yeah, I'd probably maybe only do this low mid cut, but I mean, it sounds great. The effects, we got a reverb, we have slap delay, a doubler.
Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe this time I'll try, I'm gonna try to be.
That's always what I say is like what really makes the difference isn't really the plugins you use here, but the effects you use here. Like just getting a really good clean sound is almost always what I'm going for here. And then this is all the sends and effects are what are gonna help it fit in the song and feel like it's actually part of the song and glue in, you know? So the reverb.
I can't think, all I know how to do is to pray. Taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe this time I'll try, I'm gonna try to be patient. See a sex wanna answer, I keep leaving them waiting. My head, my heart, they say something different.
So yeah, in short, like I don't think that most of the processing that I did here was too necessary. I don't think it hurt anything. Yeah, I don't think it hurt anything, but I'm just saying it's probably not even that necessary. I could have done that in even simpler ways and as few moves as possible. I think that's going to be beneficial. That's just like the better way to work is by making fewer moves than more moves. So yeah, that's the lead. We have some doubles here. Hold on.
Feel this way. I don't wanna hurt again. I don't wanna guess what you say.
Yeah, I'm making these really airy here.
Where do I go when I don't even know if this will be okay? Lord, show me your way.
Show me your way.
So yeah, that's all like the main melody.
Wanna be wondering why you making me feel this way. I don't want.
And then we have what effects send is that? Eighth note delay here that I'm kind of like writing out at the end of
Wanna be wondering
the phrase.
why you making me feel this way. I don't wanna hurt it.
And then in the context of the whole mix,
Make me feel this way.
that's really subtle, but something to fill space, you know? But yeah, that's kind of like how we got that lead sound. It's a little bit wide. There's a lot of texture there. We got the doubles and then just some good effects.
I don't wanna hurt again. I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do
Just
I
spot
go
on
when
performance,
I
you know,
don't
like there's no timing that I had, no editing, like it's just such a good performance here. And then the harmonies are what is just like R&B to the max here. So another thing is I ended up using it, the original session wasn't all for nothing because I did end up using this like stem separated vocal track.
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go
Like
when
in a pretty good amount. Like we can listen to the harmony section with the demo vocals and without.
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go when I don't even know?
All right, here's with.
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go when I don't even know if this will be okay? Lord, show me your way.
So I feel like the original demo vocals, which that wasn't even the intent. They're not actually demo vocals. But the original session vocals that were separated with like a stem separator, that still I feel like adds a lot of value to what is going on harmonically here. So let's see. I'm not sure I organized these at the time. We have
I don't wanna guess what
low
you'll
harmonies.
say. Where do I go when I don't even know?
I think we probably did like 3 of each here.
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go when I don't even know?
And then
I don't wanna guess what you'll say. Where do I go when I don't even know?
yeah, insane harmonies here. I don't know a thing about like what intervals these are, but they hit. They just hit. And then yeah, so that's her vocals, and then here's Chrissy's.
I'm trying to understand. Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gonna hit the fan. Texts we sent, the meals we had, and all the things you said.
I think, yeah, this is not the final because I definitely bypassed that.
I'm trying to understand. Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gonna hit the fan. Texts we sent, the meals we had, and all the things you said are running through my head, and I got anxiousness running through my.
Yeah, really, really dope pocket and just tone that he has going on here. And yeah, really simple moves here. That's probably just for a little bit of consistency and mainly volume.
I'm trying to understand. Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gonna hit the fan.
Chrissy has a lot of like previous work, so definitely like making his vocal sound consistent with his other songs was an important thing to go for. And he definitely has like a really present and upfront and bright vocal in a lot of his work. And of course, like making sure that it makes sense in the context of this song is really, really important. But still, like, you want to aim for some sort of consistency because it's his vocal sound, you know. That's part of like his artistry. So this is kind of like what we landed on. And then there were a couple like other effects. I tend to, in like the first pass of a mix, do a lot of vocal effects and synths and like kind of as much as I would come to mind. And it's just so much easier to like dial something back than them feel like there's a emptiness or a space and not be able to exactly put a finger on it. So that's something I kind of do up front is I'll add like the throws, the delay throws, and all that kind of stuff. Try and fill as much space as I feel like there is that could be filled. And then if they don't like it, we'll easily pull it back. But I find that easier communication-wise even than, you know, them like trying to figure out what kind of delay they might want. Like, it's kind of like not always easy to communicate. Like, I really want there to be like a eighth note delay that kind of fades in at the end of each phrase and has like this texture. Like, it's just easier to go for something. And if they don't like it, yeah, simple to pull it back. But yeah, that's kind of some of what we did here, and then we kept a couple of them.
I'm trying to understand. Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gonna hit the fan. Texts we sent, the meals we had, and all the things you said are running through my head, and I got anxiousness running through my chest.
So yeah, they're pretty subtle. And then he has his
Got
hook
me
here.
wondering, why are you making me feel this way? And I don't wanna hurt again, and I don't wanna guess what you say. And where do I go when I don't?
And again, it's just such a good performance. It's so powerful that like this is only 3 vocals. That's surprising to me based on like the sound. But yeah, just for this first hook, structurally, we just have the main melody, no harmonies going on here yet. And for his background vocals, we can listen to those on their own.
And wondering, why are you making me feel this way? And I don't wanna hurt again, and I don't wanna guess what you say. And where do I go when I don't even know if this'll be okay?
Yeah, like almost no processing, and I could see myself like
Overthinking got me wondering, why are you making me feel this way? And I don't wanna hurt again.
okay, I feel like this is a little helpful for getting that width and that in the top end. But yeah, like they just we had the great and rare privilege of recording on a really nice mic and a great room with really clean preamp. I knew I compressed on the way in, so I hope.
Where do I go when I don't even know?
I mean, it does dig in a little bit, and with background vocals, I definitely compress more than leads. But yeah, that's the vocal sound there. The last and final hook, because the story of this song is obviously like a guy and a girl kind of going back and forth, wondering about like where the other person is at with the relationship and like communication and all that kind of stuff. So it starts out with him, and then she has some ad libs here as well, and then her perspective, and then her hook, and then both of them at the same time. It's a really cool structure. It's very non-traditional structure, but like conceptually and even practically, I love it so much, that we have like the guy's take here, and he does his verse and his chorus by himself, with a little bit of ad libs, and then we have the girl's take, her perspective, her verse, and then her hook alone, and then both of them together, and then we do have like this bridge at the end. Yeah, like I don't really, you don't see that structure a lot. I guess it is verse, chorus, chorus, but like just with the feature, and it being like that, feature verse, or no, not even feature, because they co-released it. So like I hope you get what I'm saying, of like the different people taking their own hook and their own verse. Yeah, it's just it's a cool structure. So we can listen here too with the ad libs. We did a bunch of like we just kind of went for it. Like when recording, this was something that I definitely got from college, but that's like a helpful trick, is just like do your classic takes, and then especially if it's something like a run, once you've kind of feel like you've got it, just like do one more of like, all right, just have fun with this. Like, let's do a take that's wild. We probably won't use it, but just experiment, you know? And some really great stuff can come out of that. And I think we used some of that. And I know AD definitely was like going all in. Like, we definitely were not leaving that studio without having gone for everything that we could have, you know? And like without being 100% sure, like, all right, I left it out all on the table. Like, I gave it my all. So definitely, like, we have some really solid like alternate takes to choose from. And I think I comped a little bit of the harmonies, but yeah, the ad libs and stuff is definitely more tailored.
And I don't wanna hurt again. And I don't wanna hurt again. And I don't wanna guess what you say. And where do I go when I don't even know if this'll be okay?
Yeah, so those are the ad libs that really landed.
Sex wanna answer, I keep leaving them waiting. My head, my heart, they say something different. Keep running away, don't be scared and go chasing. I don't know my choice, I don't wanna be wondering.
Yeah, just really sick. We have some doubles here.
See a sex wanna answer, I keep leaving them waiting. My head, my heart, they say something.
I think all of those decisions are things that assist the narrative and emotion of what's happening at that moment. Yeah, I think I think you can definitely say that about all of these ad libs or runs or BGVs. Like, they do a lot narratively and emotion wise. At the end here with this bridge,
Maybe it's time to move on. I thought that things would be different. Maybe Maybe there's things on my chest that need some weight being lifted. Maybe it's not in his plan. I need to see first the kingdom. I know it's all in his hands. I'm leaning into your wisdom. I'm feeling tired. My ego, my pride is feeling broken. How can my heart be hurt by words that weren't even spoken? Scenarios playing out, thoughts are getting deep. This girl, she got me thinking. She got me wondering.
Yeah. I think in the earlier versions of the mix we had like I was leaning into the background vocals a little bit more to create a pretty like interesting like modulating kind of sound for the vocal, but this was supposed to be more of like a singular like voice or perspective, with these backgrounds kind of just being supporting elements more so than a defining part of like the vocal sound. So that's kind of how we landed on that, and you can see here the inputs still from the studio because these were just imported from the recording session. But yeah, really dope ending to the song, and a nice,
She got me wondering.
yeah. So for the mix, I mean, we kind of did go through the vocals. I'm not sure there'll be too much going on here. It seems pretty sparse. I think I did try and just kind of get most of it down in the production phase. So we can check out here. Most of it's gonna be volume and effects, which I'm really happy with because this was before I took Mixer Brain. So salute to pre-Mixer Brain Daniel.
She got me wondering. And I don't wanna hurt. Wondering.
Yeah, that definitely benefits from being a little bit excited.
Wondering why I'm left on red.
Getting rid of some low mids. Just pretty general EQ moves here. All the music has a low pass on it. That's interesting. And it's all being excited as well. This Juno, I'm dipping the mids to probably just help make space. I probably felt like it was interfering with the vocal too much. That's why I would do something like this, to allow the lead to occupy the middle and center, you know, the spotlight.
Pray, taking time on my words, I don't know what to say. Maybe
It is a bright sound, so probably just, you know, wanting to get that thrown out to the sides a little bit more. That's all the plugins I'm using. It's just volume and panning. Really simple. And then effects, I see I'm using the just simple plate reverb a good amount, and then the Galaxy Slap. Wow, really simple. And then interesting, okay, yeah, there's nothing actually going on there. With bass, we have a little bit of tape saturation, a little bit of noise.
Just when I think that things are going well, I'm wondering if all this gon' hit the fan. Texts we sent, the meals we had, and all the things you said around.
The little lo-fi trick, and that's it. Cutting 200 and boosting around like 12k, or not 12k, 1.2k.
Gonna hit the fan. Texts we sent, the meals we had, and all the things you said are running.
Almost forgot EGs here. Yeah, that's just how they were tracked. He had a effects pedal that we kind of developed those sounds for that really warm, you know, lo-fi-ish sound. So yeah, just using some transient shaper to kind of get it more plucky, and the Echo Boy for that just like retro type of aesthetic. little bit of radiator. And this is just for some of that width. Yeah, I think on its own, it just like... I don't know, the place it was sitting, just being mono, yeah, it didn't feel right yet. So definitely tried to, yeah, give it some width here with that Echo Boy. And drums we kind of already went through, just using some saturation on that fill and effects. No like no plugins being used. And for the drum bus, some saturation, pretty much compression. And OS bus on all of this the final buses.
He's getting good chasing. I don't know what to do. I can't tell.
And then my mix bus looks like the HG2 saturation, a little bit of dip around like 300. That's pretty common. I find myself doing that. The Oxford Inflator, a little bit of excitement, God Particle width, excitement, and then final limiting tape. This is to, yeah, for that like harshness in the box. And then low mids I think is being taken care of here with more of that clean, a little bit of compression and more saturation. And that's pretty much the mix. It's really, really simple. The way I used to do things was routing effects to an all verb and all delay, and then to an all effects. And then you would have here, like, if you listen to it, dry.
Got me wondering, why are you making me feel this way? And I don't wanna hurt again.
So there's no reverb or anything on that, other than stuff that's on the track itself. But
Got me wondering.
I found that it's easier and better to route the specific effects through each bus, like vocal. So I'll have vocal effects, music effects, bass effects, and rhythm effects, and then I can print them print them separately, dry or with the effects on them. It's just a little bit better. And then because when you turn down your volume here, then your effects are staying at the same place. It's just, yeah, creates problems. So yeah, that's pretty much Wondering. Again, just had a really, really great time working on this, and it was just such a point of growth for me to like have produced this. So I'm extremely thankful to have been able to do this. Dope song. Yeah, this is it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope there was some value in this, or it's just cool to check out. But yeah, go check out Wondering, Adelaide Jung and Christy. Absolute legends, absolutely phenomenal artists. Like, you guys don't even know. You guys don't know. Like, I went to college with AD and saw the live performances. Y'all don't even know, man. Like, insane artists. Such a pleasure to work with them. So yeah,